You're standing in the kitchen. Alone. Nobody else in the room. And you say out loud, "Okay, where did I put my keys?" Nobody answered. Nobody was listening. You just talked to an empty room. But the real answer is far stranger. You didn't do that by accident. Your brain built this habit on purpose a long time ago and never really stopped using it. Let's start with something surprising. Almost everyone does this. Not occasionally. Constantly. Muttering while cooking. Narrating while cleaning. Coaching yourself through a hard task under your breath. You've probably done it today already, without even noticing. So where does this habit actually come from? Psychologist Lev Vygotsky studied this behavior almost a century ago, but not in adults. In children. Vygotsky noticed that young children talk to themselves constantly while playing or solving problems. Out loud. Unfiltered. Narrating their own actions in real time. He called it private speech, and he made a claim that seemed strange at the time. He argued this wasn't just babbling. It was thinking happening out loud before children had learned to keep it silent. According to Vygotsky, young children haven't yet developed the ability to think purely inside their heads. So the thinking spills out through their mouths instead. Over time, most people learn to pull that speech inward. It becomes silent internal dialogue instead of an audible stream. But here's the twist. It never actually disappears. It just goes quiet most of the time. Under the right conditions, that same childhood habit resurfaces in adults, fully intact. Stress. Frustration. A hard, unfamiliar task. In those moments your brain reaches back for an old strategy. And the words come out loud again. Here's where modern research gets specific. Psychologist Gary Lupien ran a study asking a simple question. Does talking to yourself out loud actually help you perform better? In one experiment, Lupien had people search for an object like a banana among a cluttered set of images. Some participants said the object's name out loud while searching. Others searched silently. The people who spoke the word out loud found the object faster. Saying it seemed to sharpen their focus, almost like the sound itself pulled their attention toward exactly what they were looking for. Lupien's research suggests that speaking a goal out loud can activate a slightly different, more focused mode of thinking than simply thinking it silently. Which means talking to yourself in the kitchen, looking for your keys, might genuinely help you find them faster. Not a quirky habit. A functional tool. Here's another layer to this. Author and psychologist Charles Ferneyhoff has spent years studying what he calls inner speech, the voice you hear inside your head even when you're not speaking out loud. Private thought is essentially self-talk with the volume turned all the way down. Speaking out loud is the same process, just with the volume turned back up. Under stress, focus, or frustration, your brain sometimes reaches for the louder setting without asking permission first. Think about when this actually happens to you. Rarely during calm, easy moments. Almost always during difficult ones. Assembling furniture. Solving a tricky problem. Trying to remember something urgent. Your brain isn't glitching in these moments. It's pulling out an old, effective tool, the same one you used constantly as a child, before you learned it was supposed to stay quiet. There's a social layer buried in this too. Adults tend to feel embarrassed talking to themselves in public, specifically because of how it looks to others. But Ferneyhoff's work points out something important. The habit itself isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's often the opposite. People who narrate their own thinking out loud during difficult tasks frequently perform those tasks more effectively, not less. The discomfort is entirely social. Children who engage in more private speech, while young, tend to show stronger self-regulation and problem-solving skills later on. The habit that looks the most like nonsense, muttering to an empty room, may actually be an early sign of a developing mind learning to organize itself out loud, before it learns to do the same work silently. So when you catch yourself narrating your own actions alone, out loud in a kitchen or a hallway or a parking lot, you're not slipping. You're doing something your brain has quietly relied on since before you could tie your own shoes. Thinking given a voice, because sometimes a voice focuses the mind better than silence ever could. You're standing in the kitchen. Alone. Nobody else in the room. And you say out loud, "Okay, where did I put my keys?" And this time you actually find them a little faster.